Hey, welcome. We're going to talk about some information on the MCA3. We're going to go through some information of what we've looked at in the past and how we performed as a school and let you know about what you can expect. You are actually the first class to take the MCA3. All prior classes have taken the MCA2 material. Well, first of all, how did we do on some of that material? How did we compare to other schools in the HVL? How did we compare to other schools in the state? So let's take a look here. We have the last 6 years worth of data. When we look back here to the spring of 2008, we ended up being fifth in the conference. It was still an improvement from where we were the year before. But then in 2009, the spring of 2009, spring of 2010, spring of 2011, we ended up being number one in our HVL conference, which, for those of us that are competitive, we like being number one. In 2012 spring, we slipped down to second. And then this last year, we slipped down to fourth in our conference. So we want to be able to try to improve our ranking in the conference and move it back up to first. Now, that's comparing to the HVL. Now, if we compare to where we are with the state, here we're looking at proficiency, and that's the percent of students that pass the test. Byron is in blue here, and the state is in the red. You can see we've always been above the state, and we were continuing to increase and get a wider gap between us and the state until 2012. And then since 2012 and 2013, we've still been above the state. However, we are not above the state as much. Now, some of this drop here is because the state decided to switch test vendors. It doesn't really affect you, but somebody else came along, rewrote the test, and so it ended up being more difficult. So we dropped and our state dropped. Now, if we take a look at our percentile ranking, that means how is our school doing compared to all the other schools? Now, if we look at this class right here, in 2007, the percentile ranking in 8th grade was 96.9. When that class came through the system here at the high school, they improved their ranking to a 97.2, meaning they beat 97.2% of all the other schools or of all the other classes in the state. Similarly, here, as we look at the pinkish maroon color, from 93, we moved up to, when they came through the high school, to 99.7. Now, in these 2 years here, we were 16th and 15th in the state out of about 330 high schools. When we look at this green one that came through, happened to be the lowest one that Mr. Bombach has ever had. However, when they came through our system, we still improved their percentile ranking by 4%. Looking at the class from this last year here in kind of the purple lavender color, in 8th grade they're at 87.3, and then when they came through last year they went to an 85.6. It's the first time we've seen a drop in our percentile ranking from 8th grade to 11th grade. So we want to reverse that trend. Now, when you look at where you guys are, in 8th grade you were at 96.2% in the state. When you look at all those others in 8th grade, that's really pretty good. So we are hoping that you guys have a significant improvement, not only on our proficiency here, and not only on our ranking in the HVL, but that we see a significant improvement in your percentile ranking in the state. Now, your testing on the MCA3 is really an opportunity for you to leave your mark on this school, for you as a class to leave your mark on this school, because the public will look at the scores that you get as a class. That becomes public information, and that's what a lot of schools and people look at when they are looking at, okay, what schools do we want to compare? Or when parents are looking at moving to a district, they're like, okay, do they have good test scores? So how you guys do is going to be reflected in that data, and people will be looking at it. It also gives us a chance to look at our curriculum. How's our curriculum doing? And are we, as a group of teachers, doing a good job at preparing you for that material? And it also allows us to compete against others in a non-athletic environment. Please do keep in mind that each class is different, so how you are is different than how other people are in prior classes. Also, each test can be a little bit different. What we need is for you to do your best and put the best effort in you can. So, how will you do? Now, a little bit of information about the MCA 3s. MCA 3s are going to be given online on a computer, which will be the first time we've done that. It's going to be over 2 days, April 15th and April 16th. Couple of things for you. When you have finished each problem, make sure you've gone back and reread the problem to make sure you actually answered the question and or that your answer is reasonable. Also, you're going to be able to use scratch paper. So if they give you a problem and there's no diagram, or there's not necessarily one drawn to scale, or you want to work it out on a piece of scratch paper, you can go ahead and do that. So if it is a geometric situation, go ahead and draw it out on your piece of paper. You're going to be able to use your calculator. There'll be a calculator on the computer that you can use if you want, but you will be allowed to be able to use your own calculator. Also, think positively. You come across a problem, you may not know how to do it at first, but if you work at it a little bit, you might be able to get it. Or it may seem difficult and challenging, but being a multiple choice situation, you might be able to still work it out and get it using the answers to guide you. And just because it seems difficult doesn't mean you can't get it. Now, a couple of other things here. You need to make sure you answer each question as you are going through. You cannot skip a question. However, you can answer it and you can mark the question for you to then review at a later time. Well, it still has to be within that same day. So if you mark a question for review on the 15th, you need to make sure that you still go back and review that question on the 15th. If you don't mark it for review and you don't go back to it on the 15th and you come back on the 16th, you're not able to go back and take it on the 15th or change it. So you can only go back and adjust answers that you mark as for you to review on that same day that you initially answered that question. Also, if for some reason you let your computer be inactive for 20 minutes or more, it's going to assume that you're done and you're not able to go back and change anything. You're not able to go ahead and do any more questions. So make sure that you're aware of that. So at this point, that's about all I have for you for the background information on your MCA 3. So go ahead, work hard on these MCA prep sessions. We're going to go over a lot of the material that you'll be seeing. All this material is stuff that you have seen all the way from 9th grade through now. All the past classes, I guess I really shouldn't say all the past classes, but the classes that have taken it in the last 3 years really have been preparing and using the curriculum for the MCA 3s, even though they were still technically taking the MCA 2s. But the MCA 3s for math is really going to cover everything that you've learned from 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade. It's going to require you to remember it all and pull it all together, and you're able to do that.